What's up, everybody? It's me, Chris, once again coming at you. It's been a minute, but I've been sick, so finally feeling recovered. So I'm here to talk about a big boxing weekend, and in big, I mean more so quantity than actual quality of fights. But with that being said, let's get started, because I only got 10 minutes. So, all right, the first fight is happening tomorrow night for the IBF Cruiserweight title. Steve Cunningham, who's got a record of 21-1 against Tomasz Adamek, who has a record of 35-1. Gotta be honest, I've never really seen the Cunningham fight, just watched a little bit online and some of his highlights and whatnot. I have seen the Adamek fight. Cunningham's coming off a fight over where he won the title, I believe, over Marco Huck over in Europe, but that was over a year ago, so he hasn't fought in a year. And Adamek's coming off a win over Gomez, and before that he beat O'Neal Bell, which was a good win, although O'Neal Bell just never really seemed to be in that fight. His one loss is to Chad Dawson, which was on Showtime, which was a good fight. That was a light heavyweight, though. After that loss, Adamek decided to move up to cruiserweight. So, like I said, I haven't seen a lot of Cunningham, but from what I did see, he kind of reminds me of, he seemed like he has a similar style to Chad Dawson. Granted, I don't think he has the speed of Chad Dawson, and I'm not for sure if he's as sharp as Dawson is, but somewhat of a similar fighting style. So I'm going to go with him by decision, because I think he can pose a lot of the same problems that Dawson did for Adamek. Also, he's a natural cruiserweight. He's been fighting there. Adamek, as I said, moved up to cruiserweight after losing to Dawson, so I think Cunningham should have a natural size and strength advantage, along with speed advantage. But it should be a pretty good fight, to be honest. Both are top-level cruiserweights. So I'm expecting a pretty good fight. It's on Versus, so it should be easy to find if you guys want to check it out, as I will be. Next up, we have another fight on Versus on Saturday. James Toney against Oquendo. Originally, it was supposed to be James Toney against Tony Thompson, but Tony Thompson had an injury, had to pull out, so Oquendo is replacing him. So, James Toney, record 70 wins, 6 losses, 3 draws. He's coming off the win. I don't know if it's a win or a no contest over Hasim Rahman, where Rahman pretty much kind of quit. And before that, he had some other wins. He had some other fights. He had a fight with a guy named Bowshelter, but the fight was, I think, tossed out, the decision, because he tested positive for steroids. And before that, he had the 2 fights with Samuel Peter, which the first one he looked good, the second one he didn't. Not Tony Thompson. Kendo's got a record 29-4. He's coming off 3 straight wins, but before that, he had the loss to Vander Holyfield, where he got knocked down in the first round. So I'm going to go with James Toney in this fight. He didn't look good his last time I saw him fight. Well, no, he did look okay against Rahman, but, Toney, I just have never really been impressed with him too much at heavyweight, except for maybe the Ruiz fight and the Holyfield fights. But Oquendo's a late replacement. I've never been high on Oquendo in the first place, just not a fan of his style. As I said, he lost to Holyfield a couple years ago, and we all know Holyfield's well past his prime, so that doesn't look good on his resume. So this should be just pretty much straight up boxing match, because both guys are boxers more so than punchers or anything else. Good technical battle, I guess, but probably not the most exciting fight, which is kind of the story of the weekend in my opinion. But I'm going to go with James Toney by decision. It'll be interesting to see what his weight is, because as we've seen, his weight usually comes in pretty heavy at heavyweight. But hopefully he'll drop down a little lighter. 230 or something. That's not asking too much, The lighter he is, the better it is for him. But I'm going to go with Toney by decision. Next up, for the WBO Junior Welterweight Championship, we have Kendall Holt versus Demetrius Hopkins. This was originally supposed to be Kendall Holt versus Ricardo Torres 3. Torres had the flu, wasn't able to train properly, just pulled out. Hopkins is a really last-minute replacement, just replaced him on, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. Stepped in to take the fight. He said he was training for another fight, so he should be in shape. Either way, I'm going to go with Kendall Holt. I was also going to pick Kendall Holt in the Torres fight. I rewatched their first 2 fights the other night on Showtime. They were airing them. And I was really looking forward to seeing that third fight, because it's just the unique circumstances on which their first 2 bouts both ended, especially since each fighter had won one contest. But Hopkins is a late replacement. Aside from the name and a few performances on ESPN2 against guys that weren't really on his level, I've never personally been impressed with Demetrius Hopkins. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I just don't think he's like a top tier fighter necessarily. Kendall Holt, he has a lot of ability. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of hand speed. He's got good power. Sometimes when he used to fight when he first came on the scene, he fought with a lot of aggression. But since being knocked out by Thomas Superman Davis, he's been a little more hesitant in his fights. So on offense, he's really good, but he just doesn't show enough flashes of it. He fights really, I don't know, he just holds back a lot more than I think he should. And I don't know if that's fear of being KO'd or getting hurt or what, but either way, I'm going to go with Holt by decision. Like I said, he doesn't really press the issue too much in fights. He kind of likes fighters to come to him. He likes to be a counter fighter. I don't really recall what Hopkins' style is, but I just think this is going to be a boxing match as well. I think Holt has all the advantages, speed, power. He's not a last-minute replacement, so I think he's going to be in top form. And once again, I don't know if this is going to be a very impressive fight to watch either, though. Both these guys don't exactly have the most exciting style, although Holt is capable of having an exciting style, but he just doesn't seem to press the issue enough, as I said. So I'm going to go with Holt by decision. Big fight of the weekend, or the biggest fight of the weekend, we have Wladimir Klitschko against Hasim Rahman for the IBF WBO heavyweight titles. It was supposed to originally another replacement fight, third one in a row here. It was supposed to be Klitschko against Alexander Povetkin, but Povetkin got hurt, so Hasim Rahman's a late replacement, but he's had a pretty good amount of time to train properly for this fight, I would hope. Although I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Real quick, Klitschko 51-3, 45 big KOs, as they like to say. Hasim Rahman 45 wins, 6 losses, 2 draws. Klitschko's coming off the TKO win, 11th round over Toney Thompson. Pretty boring fight, to be honest. Before that, he had the unanimous decision win over Sultan Ibragimov, an even more boring fight. Hasim Rahman's coming off the no contest loss, basically to James Toney, where he kind of quit on his stool over a cut. He could have continued, I thought. He just kind of, I don't know, he just kind of seemed like he went out on his stool, so to speak. And where I think he could have continued. Before that, he had a win over Zuri Lawrence. It was on Versus. Really bad fight. Zuri Lawrence only has 7 KOs, and I think if he would have had more KO power, he would have probably stopped Rahman. Rahman looked horrible in that fight. I mean, Lawrence hurt him a couple times, I believe, and like I said, Lawrence has no power. Rahman ended up getting the TKO, but he really had to work for it against an opponent where he should have really blown out. So, I mean, I would go with Klitschko regardless of the circumstances in this fight, but based on Rahman's last 2 performances, he's a last-minute replacement. He's just not consistent. I'm going with Klitschko. I'm going to go with Klitschko by TKO, although it could be a decision. Once again, for the 3rd fight in a row, aside from being a replacement, I think this may not be the most exciting fight. Both fighters are capable of having exciting performances, but Klitschko has just become a very hesitant, reluctant fighter. Safety-first fighter, especially in the Samuel Peter fight. The Thompson fight, the Ibragimov fight, where he could have blown Ibragimov out, it looked like. Fought really hesitantly most of the fight. Don't know what it is. I think he just is afraid of getting KO'd since the Layman Brewster fight and the Corey Sanders fights. Doesn't like to get hit. Looks like he's scared to get hit. And Rahman's not necessarily one to press the issue. People say maybe Rahman can land a lucky punch, a la Lennox Lewis' first fight. Don't see it happening. Aside from that fight, I haven't seen him land a lucky punch on anyone or nothing solid. He lost Oleg Muskayev in the second fight. Everyone thought he was going to win that fight for sure. Everyone thought Muskayev was shot. Muskayev beat him. So Rahman's one of those guys. He had one big win. Everyone's kind of still holding out hope for him to reduplicate that performance, but he has yet to, and I don't see it happening here. So once again, I don't know if this is going to be the most exciting fight. I don't expect it to be, but I'm going to go with Klitschko by TKO, but it could go to a decision depending on how Klitschko decides to fight him. So that's it. I'll probably meet you guys up on Sunday after we see all these fights and give you my afterthoughts. But until then, I am out of here. Bye.